Well, I just got home and I safely flew the paramotor around the pattern tonight. It allayed a lot of my fears and it opens up a lot more questions. I want to talk about 3 questions. Number 1, why did I do this? Number 2, should you do this? And number 3, what's next? So, first of all, why did I do this? I worked as an airline pilot for 30 years, and flying has always been a part of my life. I've loved aviation since I was a kid. Went to a state university for an aviation education and made it my career and my life's work. And 2 years ago, I was on a layover, and I started having chest pains and had to have open heart surgery. And it robbed me of my career and my ability to aviate. It's pretty tough to take. I had been ignoring some health issues for a long time, and the lifestyle's just absolutely brutal. You know, up all night, time zone crossings, horrible food, never a good night's sleep. The income's good and it's a lot of fun, but it extracts a measured toll on your health. And my surgery, unfortunately, was a colossal failure. So long story short, I had some secondary corrective work done, and basically through a very, very regimented, very strict diet, exercise, sleep, and medication regime, have regained the health that I enjoyed maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but it was very close to ending my life, and it, for the most part, did end my career.
So when it was all said and done, I walked away from aviation and basically forgot about it. Didn't even think about airplanes, flying, airlines, any of that stuff for a solid 14 or 15 months. With little to no chance of ever regaining medical certification, there was no reason for me to even consider it. And then all of a sudden I found this Tucker Gott fella on YouTube. And of course, Tucker Gott, who expanded my vocabulary with new words like sketch and rad and legit. Ska, dude. I will try to work some of those words into my future videos, but I don't think it's going to become a theme. It's just not who I am. He also gave me a new way to measure things, a new scale, like 1 to Taylor Swift. So very useful stuff, but it got me interested in flying again. I told you thanks once, Tucker. If you happen to see this, thanks again, buddy. Tucker helped rekindle that desire to go flying. Tucker reminds me of a pelican. Why a pelican? Go to Florida and watch the pelicans. They're one of the few birds that I know of that fly in formation simply because they enjoy it. They're not flying in formation to migrate. They ridge soar and condo soar all up and down the beaches of Florida simply because they enjoy it. I really love flying.
So under FAR 103, I can fly this thing. As pilot in command, I can go out and aviate. I sold my personal airplanes, I bought the Paraglider, and I wanted to buy training. Which brings us to our second question. Should you do this without training? Well, the purpose of this video is really for the somebody who is already a general aviation pilot or more. They've paid for training. And if you're watching this, it's because you have an interest in aviation, in flying. And if you have a pilot's license through the normal standards that the FAA has set, the normal requirements of training, the normal practical test standards, the normal written test standards, you can fly one of these things. But it doesn't fly like an airplane, at least not initially, and there's quite a bit to learn about it. If you haven't got that exposure, you can teach yourself. Now, I will tell you this much. I'm a certified flight instructor also, and teaching people how to fly general aviation airplanes, in my experience, has been more successful following a very established path, a standardized curriculum, training aids, testing standards, and if the student doesn't pass those standards, the student retrains until he does. There's two people in this country that are doing that I know of. One of them is Eric and his team down there at Aviator PPG, and the other one is Del Shanzi out in California. I know that there might be some of you that feel that there's some controversy about Del, but the guy knows what he's doing. Watch his videos. He understands how to make a paraglider talk. And I've watched hundreds of hours of his stuff, and I know that he critiques and attacks some people because they don't see eye to eye with Del. He is the guy on the West Coast. And you might think, oh, $3,000 is so doggone expensive. The results don't lie. Same thing with Eric and Aviator down at Lake Worth, Florida. I know it's expensive. Believe me, I know it's expensive. I didn't really balk at the price. For me, it was a matter of schedule and travel. And I wanted to do it now. Given my health history, I did not want to wait 17 or 18 months to be able to do it at Lake Worth. And to be fair, Eric offered me to go to a couple other of his affiliates that he has personally vetted, and they train with the same curriculum, but I wanted to learn in Lake Worth, and I wanted to learn from Eric, and he's just not available. His business model is so successful. He's doing it right. He's not available for 18 or 19 months now. I didn't have the ability to wait that long. I couldn't do it. So if you're on the West Coast, go to Del. If you're on the East Coast, go to Aviator and get good training. So how do you determine what good training is? They have simulators, they have gantries for hang tests, they have winch tow equipment, they have a nice big safe area to operate from, they have a training facility, they have on-site maintenance, they have on-site parts, they train to an established standard, and they charge accordingly. And if you think that somebody should do all that work for free, I'm sorry, you're wrong. I just did it for myself. I also knew the gaps in the knowledge that I needed to fill in, and you can't create an a la carte training program effectively, which is why some of us are out here self-training. One of the things that I used to look for when I was trying to teach somebody how to fly, whether they were a primary student or if they were working on more advanced maneuvers or an instrument rating or even within my career within the cockpits of the airline, I always tried to look for transferable knowledge. So if you're a general aviation pilot, you have transferable knowledge to paragliding. If you're a small engine repair mechanic, you have transferable knowledge. If you're an IT guy, You might not have transferable knowledge. If you're a doctor or a lawyer, you might not have transferable knowledge. Maybe you have hobbies that give you transferable knowledge. If you were involved in radio-controlled aircraft, for instance, or if you were involved in skydiving, for instance, those interests you might be an expert in. You might be able to bring quite a lot of that knowledge into learning how to fly or teaching yourself how to fly PPG. I brought a lot to the table on this self-training adventure, and I'm not done yet. Just because I safely went around the pattern one time does not mean that I am Mr. Know-It-All PPG, but we're going to work towards that, and I'm going to help people, especially people that are pilots already, get to a point of saying, I think I can do this with this curriculum, I think I can do this following this technique and this procedure, and I'm going to provide some guidance to do that. That's where I'm headed in the future. Should you do it, I'm going to come back to it again. If you don't have a huge amount of transferable knowledge to apply towards already knowing an awful lot about what this is about, you really need to go buy training. Even a community college private pilot ground school will give you an awful lot of transferable knowledge to apply to this. Things like airspace, things like
cloud clearance limits, temperature dew point spread, navigation, chart reading, search and rescue, obstacle clearance requirements, winds aloft, and where to get that information, flight physiology, military operations areas, G-loading, how it affects the body, GPS constellations, hypoxia, Coriolis effect, restricted airspace, magnetic variation, right-of-way rules, temporary flight restrictions, takeoff performance factors, climb performance, prohibited airspace, airport facilities directory,
engine operations,
weather forecasting, and where to get weather information,
aerodynamics,
density, altitude, and humidity, and how they affect performance, sectional chart reading,
weather patterns. All of that stuff needs to be considered and understood, and really it is if you follow a curriculum. And I'm encouraging you, if you don't have a background in all of those things, you either need to fully research and learn as much as you can about each one of those subjects, or go buy training that has been proven to be successful. So one of the things that turned me off about some of the training that was offered to me or available to me was I looked at the results of some of their other students, and as a flight instructor, I know you cannot be held accountable for the actions of your students on down the road. But when I see people posting videos on YouTube of dangerous activity or illegal flying activity or dangerous stunts, and then I ask them, well, who did you get your training from? It's very difficult for me to hold that person in high regard. So I only went around the pattern once tonight. Why didn't I go more? Well, I was pretty excited. Like I said, I carried an awful lot of emotion into doing this, and to be able to get back in the air was really a fantastic accomplishment and a really big goal of mine. And to be able to do it without bending anything, without getting hurt, was very intimidated about the landing in particular. That glider flies faster than I can run, and I tried to feather the flare down near the ground without having any previous experience. And with the motor on your back and the momentum, it worked out okay, but what a great experience. So where does this channel go from here? Well, I want to fly a profile of different speeds, different power settings, some basic maneuvers, left turns, right turns, exploring how much brake to make, how much bank, determining whether or not there's a minimum power setting for straight and level cruise. Man, that was fantastic.
Hey!
Oh, we lived!
Let me shake your hand.
We lived!
Yeah,
A little scary.
that looked good from the inside.
Hey, once you got it going though, it looked good.
That thing goes faster. That thing goes faster than I thought.
Yeah, it goes right along.
Okay, got my 10 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
The only thing is you took off right into the sun. That didn't help in the camera.
It's all right.
But you got it.
I don't know. It's interesting. It doesn't fly like an airplane.
No, it isn't an airplane.
Yeah, I saw you.
But you didn't swing or anything when you come around. That's nice
Well,
to
by
see.
then I had figured out about how much to pull to make it do what I wanted to do. What a deal.
Yeah, once you got that engine going, once you got up there, you get a little gas.
I was a little afraid to lift my feet up.
No, I saw, but you
Yeah.
got it. You're about that far off the ground.
And then it pitched up nice, and all of a sudden I was 55 or 80 feet in the air, 50, 60 foot in the air, and then
Happy birthday!
happy birthday, Mr. Homer. Thank you so much for letting me do this.
Anytime.